So far in 2014, the Burnout Masters has delivered some of the best skids from across the country. Burnout Masters showcases the best in Aussie tyre frying talent as they travel the country, skidding to huge crowds and chasing a spot in the big one, the 2015 Summernats Burnout Masters. Our final qualifying event for 2014 takes us to Queensland Raceway for a brand new concept. Burnouts Unleashed is the brainchild of skidmaster Steve Loader and commentator Jason Bean.
Well, the concept of Burnouts Unleashed is a stadium arena burnout show. It's all about bringing the best of the best from right around the country, bringing them and putting them into an environment that they're not normally accustomed to, which is this stadium arena. Over the past couple of weeks, we've gone about building grandstands, lighting packages. We've got big PAs.
Yeah, basically me and Jason try to do something different. We want to make it more of a show for the spectators. Sort of like a nitro circus, crush your demons type of thing. And it's invite only, so 65 cars. It's still a competition with prize money for them, but it's more of a show for the spectators to watch.
We've taken little portions of all these different sports and mixed it into the sport of burnouts.
This unique event is a stunning example of the growth and professionalism of the burnout scene, considered by many as a new extreme sport. Competitors have travelled from as far as Western Australia to be a part of this inaugural event and do their best to grab one of the 3 golden tickets to Summernats.
There's a lot of one-ticket wildcard events around Australia, but this one is a 3-ticket deal. So tonight, 3 of the guys behind us will take a ride straight into the toughest burnout comp in the country at the Summernats Burnout Masters.
The Summernats for the burnout fraternity is sort of the grand final.
If you make the Masters, you're up there with the best of the boys, so everyone's trying to do it and get there.
Summernats is the be-all and end-all. It always has been. Ever since I've been a kid, it's been huge. It's that one event that everyone wants to win. People just merge from around Australia, even as far as New Zealand, and come, and that's just that one event that you really want to go to and you really want to do well at too. It's the pinnacle of burnouts.
I want one of these Summernats Masters tickets. Bring it on.
Despite inclement weather, a strong crowd has turned out for the first ever Burnouts Unleashed. Time to smash tyres as we get set to crown some more Burnout Masters. Yes, Queensland Raceway under lights just west of Ipswich, outside of Brisbane, and a little bit of rain, not enough to stop this big crowd from showing up and to make these cars look just a little bit sexy with all the water flooding over them and these disco lights pumping through. Festivities currently underway, getting the crowd excited for what will be a big show and the last qualifying event before we head to Canberra for Summernats in 2015. Ready to kick it all off, and we're going to start with one very big name, and a car that's already qualified, one of 11 that have already qualified for next year, and it's Fred Watson in fear. Burnout expert Aaron Mackley sitting alongside me, and Fred Watson, no stranger to burnout pads.
He's certainly not, Chad. Fred Watson all the way over from the west. He was up in the north of Queensland not too long ago where he took out the title up at Tropical Meltdown in Cairns. So winning form is good form, and he's off to a really good start here. He's taking it slow in the wet, trying to get his smoke content up straight off the start. And he's going okay so far. He's going to find some wet patches out there, so it'll be about the smarts of the driver to be able to control themselves in these situations.
Small block, but blown, still plenty of horsepower, but very hard to actually get that smoke up straight away and try and make sure that you stay off the walls.
Yeah, exactly right, especially in the wet. He's concentrating on his driving. He's keeping it nice and slow, keeping it off the walls. You can see there the smoke tends to just disappear a little bit when he's hitting the wet patches of the pad, which is unfortunate. But he's doing a great job. You can see the smoke when he hits the dry patches really starts to flare up. So it's really about the smarts of the driver as well out there, as well as the skill and the setup of the car tonight.
did make the final 10, or qualified inside that top 10 at Summernats, which is why he's already got one of those golden tickets to go back to 2012 Burnout King champion from over in the west. That smoke dissipating just slightly.
It's a little bit of a disadvantage for the drivers coming out earlier in the night, and it's just unfortunately the luck of the draw to a certain extent. Where the drivers entered their cars into the competition, the reverse order of that is how they come out tonight. So if you were the first car to enter the event, they're the last car to go out, which tonight is a massive advantage because the track will continue to dry out as the evening goes on. So Fred has got the worst of the conditions to a certain extent, but he's doing a great job given that circumstance.
Battling through those conditions, isn't he? 4 judges here. It's a judged sport, just like we'd see in many other kinds of, say, gymnastics or surfing, but this is a little bit more badass than gymnastics right now, what Fred Watson's doing with this Monaro.
Yeah, just a little bit. So the judging tonight, a little bit different to what we've seen from previous events. The drivers can get a score out of a total of 100 points, which is 20 points each from the 4 judges, plus a bonus 10 points for driving off the pad, and a bonus 10 points for popping the tyres. Either 1 or 2 tyres will get you 10 points.
Popping tyres on what is currently a wet burnout pad is a very difficult thing to achieve.
Certainly is. You would notice that Fred would normally have the tyres down within a minute 20, a minute 30. I reckon he's been going closer to 2 minutes here. He can't be too far away from getting them down. But you can see that wet pad. Normally the car would be engulfed in smoke, but it's making more steam than smoke. A little bit of bad luck for Fred, unfortunately.
How good is that crowd? Absolutely eating this up. Egging him to just try and get those tyres to pop, to get those 10 bonus points. And I'm worried about what's going on under the bonnet right now as well, because how much longer can this Monaro Fia take this kind of punishment?
It's a well set up car. Fred builds these things to last, and I know that it can handle the punishment. And there we go, he's got one down, and that's just about enough for Fred.
Already qualified through to Summernats. I think today's more about pride and trying to do his best as the crowd roars for Fred Watson and Fia. 74.5 out of a possible 100 in tricky conditions, not bad, but will it be good enough to see him on top of the podium later tonight? Let's check out Fred's run from Summernats 27. He did make the top 10, but not without a certain amount of drama.
No, there was plenty of drama there. The conditions are a little bit different to tonight, and look at that thing just set aloft. The back of the Monaro just melting to pieces. That was certainly very entertaining, but the fires are not really what gets you good points in these burnout competitions, and he'll be one to watch out for at Summernats in 2015.
Mitch Hawes, this is Skid Haw, the Ford Courier Ute, really struggling to get that instant smoke up. Very, very close to the wall as well. You can see that it's very slippery out there.
Mitch Hawes got the LS1 on board. It's an aspirated setup, not quite like the blown setup that we saw of Fred before, which really puts that torque to the ground and is able to build up those smoke quantities. So Mitch needs to slow down and let the tyres build up some heat in these wet conditions out here. Driving a little bit fast, he's going to get some reasonable scores for his driving control, but unfortunately not the smoke content that the judges would be looking for at this stage.
Another driver that's made the trip all the way up to Cairns for Tropical Meltdown, doing, I guess, a bit of a Queensland swing up and down the coast, these guys. Nice work, gets it rotated nicely through once, and look at that! Goodness me, the right-hand side of the engine comes alight.
That has let go an oil line or a fuel line or something like that. Casually gets out of the car. The whole car's on fire.
Fire is all over it. There was fire coming. Look at that in the footwell.
That is one serious fire.
Man, it's gone through the so-called firewall.
Yeah, well, that's what they're there for.
And so that was nasty stuff. Let's check this out once again. You can see the oil down the bottom of the motor first, and it all went up.
Yeah, I reckon that may have been a transmission line. It's really hard to tell. There are fuel lines back there. That's lit up really quickly. It's hard to tell what it is, but that is a serious fire. And Mitch, he had it all under control. He got out of the car like he just popped the tyres, and it was just a Sunday drive.
It had some pretty hot feet in there. You could definitely tell that it started towards the right side of the motor. Here it is once again. Look towards the right side of the engine. It actually starts underneath the car, really.
Yeah, it does. It might be a transmission line down there.
Man,
it's hard to tell. Yeah, there's some of the liquid's gone onto the ground as well.
So that's going to make things only slipperier now for Nathan Magri. Cue up and see why in this HG Holden. Beautifully presented car, and how's he going to go against these slippery conditions?
Well, that's not a bad start, actually. Another LS-powered car. It's an LS2, I think, from memory, and he's doing quite well. He's slowing down. He's driving to the conditions. This is a good start. It's a really pretty car as well. I really like this thing, and he's been going well with it at the competitions he's been at recently. This is good smoke. This is driving smart for the conditions.
Not one of the drivers qualified so far for Summernats, but one of the big hitters, and a man that would probably expect to see getting one of those golden tickets at some point, but this is his last chance to get one before we head off to Summernats. There are still chances to qualify for the Burnout Masters on the Saturday at Summernats itself, and you do not want to miss it. Summernats 28 in Canberra, going to be absolutely massive. If you love this kind of stuff, it's like this, but on a much, much bigger scale.
Yeah, you're dead right. Everyone comes from all over the country to check out Summernats, and you're right, this is the last chance before Summernats to go for a ticket, so everyone will be going really, really hard here, as Nathan is. He's kept the smoke up right from start to finish. His donuts have been a little bit one way, but he is using a fair part of the pad. But the volume of smoke, consistency of smoke has been really good. Nice, consistent revs as well, as he gets pretty close to the wall there. But he's driven out of it really well. This is a good burnout from Nathan Magri.
Listen to that right up top. Not being afraid to really keep his right foot pinned to the floor. And those flames pumping out from underneath the car as well. The judges like this when you've just got your right foot absolutely slammed down.
You like to get a good balance between consistent revs and keeping it off the rev limiter. It's okay to tap the rev limiter. When you're hitting the limiter though, it's dropping cylinders out. So by rights, you're dropping smoke as well.
He's dropped that left tyre, the left rear is gone. Can he get the second one? Cue up and see why. Nathan Magri with the judges. They're pretty happy with it, 79.5 out of that possible 100, so moves to the top spot at the moment, but there's still plenty of heavy hitters still to come, including this guy, Martin Tooth in Toothy.
He's been going pretty well lately, Toothy. Another LS-powered car, LS3 I think this one is. He's got the blower, got the injector hat, and you can see the difference between the blown cars and the aspirated cars. Just the extra torque that these engines produce is helping get the power to the ground, and he's really pumping the smoke out of this thing so far. Holding the throttle open fairly consistently, which is what you want to do in these wet conditions, just to build up the heat in the tyres and maximise your opportunity to make big smoke.
No shortage of power out of this thing. 980 horsepower. It'll go through 55 litres of methanol in a burnout. Purchased this car as a $400 wreck out of Gun to Guy, and he says just like renovating a house, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and more special. And now he's touring around the country, just completely blitzing tyres like we're seeing here today.
Just look at his headlights flickering there. I reckon that's a power problem or maybe an ignition problem. Hopefully it can hang on. You can still see it flickering there. It still seems to be making plenty of power. It's not bothering him. Hopefully he can drag it right through to the end and get these tyres down. This is a good burnout, really good burnout.
That blower belt spinning. You can see it flapping around as well with the flames out the side. I think we've got some tyres going as well, and a big flame out the back. Martin Tooth in Toothy out of Junee has blitzed those rear tyres, probably for the best too, because I'm not sure how much longer it was going to hold on, and he moves to the top with 80 out of 100.
Yeah, good effort there by Toothy. Really good, consistent burnout.
Could that be enough to see him get his hands on one of those golden tickets? Here's something a bit different. It's Mark Gibbons in Mater, and if you're thinking this looks a little bit familiar, yes, this is the tow truck made famous by the movie Cars, Aaron. I must admit, I've not seen the movie.
Mate, how could you have not seen it? It is the most famous kids movie in the world. This is the most famous tow truck here in the world, and it's here tonight driven by Mark Gibbons, and he's doing a great job so far.
I'll tell you what, for a Disney Pixar car, this thing smokes it up all right. I wonder what Lightning McQueen might be capable of if we got him out here at Summernats next year.
Well, I'd certainly like to see that. I'll tell you what, I don't know if Mater in the movie was powered by an LS1 Chev, though. This one certainly is. And he's pounding the smoke out. It's an aspirated LS1 in this 2 or 2.5 ton tow truck. This is good. Good smoke, good revs. He's doing really well.
Part of the Mad As Burnouts crew, which is based up here in Queensland, as the smoke fills the back of the tow truck right now. And this is what Burnouts is all about, doing something different. Giving the punters what they want. You can have a nice brand new looking Monaro, you can have some older style cars, or come out with something completely different.
And that's what Mark's done, and this is great. It's great for Burnouts. It's about expressing yourself. Not everyone has to build the same type of car. It's build whatever you want, and this is whatever you want, and it's appealing to kids and young people and grown-ups, grandparents everywhere. This is what Burnouts is all about. And it's a great skid too. Look, he's still going. He hasn't got off it from start to finish.
Just quietly, he's getting the job done. Remember, we get bonus points for being able to drive the thing out of the pad. Hopefully won't need a tow truck to come and get him out of there. We're also going to get 10 bonus points for that.
There it is.
For Pop Tyres. Right on cue. Mater does the job. 68.5, so the judges have pinged him in a few areas.
Yeah, he's just his drivability. He went fairly slow. He was trying to drive to the conditions, which he did. It was a smart drive. Always going to affect his score, though, by going slow and not using a heap of the pad.
The show continues. This is Burnouts Unleashed, and we're about to see Justin Brown. This is in earlier this year in his older car. Great tip in, gets the back end turn around nicely, but gets stuck right there up against the fence, and ultimately that would cost him a spot on the big show on Sunday. The good news is he's already got a spot qualified for next year after using this car to perfection over in the West.
Yeah, this is another new car on the scene, and he's straight to the top with it. He's won a couple of shows with it already. And look, this is a great start. Again, driving to the conditions, not as fast as you would normally see Justin drive. The track is still a little bit wet, so he's slowed down trying to build up that smoke content, and this is a good start. Instant smoke, he'd be scoring well. Constant smoke, he's still keeping that there as well. The volume is reasonable. He's just got to keep this up right through to the end of his burnout.
Bit of a flame out the back. Loving the sound of that supercharger at work earlier as well. And did qualify already for next year, as we were talking about earlier, by winning a wildcard event over in the West. It was the Burnout King event this year.
And this wagon of Justin's, it's a snapshot of burnouts of the future. It's a late model VE Commodore wagon, all the latest gear on it. He's got the old school engine setup in it though, the 377 Chev with mechanical injection. It's blown, and it really, really is a pretty car.
If you want an example of how far burnouts have come over the last 10 to 20 years, I guess this is really it. Not having a go at some of the cars we've seen at burnout events over the last few decades, but this is something special.
He's doing a fairly good job here, Justin. He's on and off the throttle a little bit. If he was a little bit more consistent, he could be building up his smoke scores, the smoke consistency scores, but he's doing the best he can with the conditions that have been put in front of him tonight.
Slowly but surely, this pad is starting to dry up, which will mean that the conditions get better throughout the night. Steam under the front. Justin's out of the car, as well as the passengers. He did manage to pop at least one tyre, so the score is pretty good as well. We're heading off to an ad break, but there are plenty more skits to come. Stick with us. Burnouts Unleashed at Queensland Raceway, just outside of Ipswich. And we're getting ready for a guy who's looking for a golden ticket right now, Craig Bailey in Outlaw.
Another LS-powered car, blown with carbies on it, but runs a methanol in it. A couple of big hoops tipping in, and he's kept the smoke content up. That's going to score really well with the judges.
That's a great way to kick it off. So driving control and instant smokes there. Can he keep that smoke content up, that volume? And can he carry it for the few minutes that he needs? Not a bad start. Celebrated a birthday this week, so what better way to celebrate a birthday than grabbing one of those golden tickets?
That's the way to do it, isn't it? Get out and smash a set of tyres.
Remember, Burnout Masters in January next year. That's what it's all about. We're trying to qualify for that big show, the biggest burnout event just about in the world. It happens in Canberra in the new year.
It doesn't get much bigger than that, and Craig's going his hardest. His revs are really nice and consistent. He's tagged the limiter a couple of times, but he's keeping it under control and keeping that smoke volume up. This will be scoring well so far. This is just about as good as we've seen out of all the burnouts here tonight.
New South Welshman, based just north of the Hunter Valley. Not sure if it's steam or smoke coming up from the engine bay. It always makes me nervous. A soda blaster by trade, blasting these tyres on the burnout pad.
Yeah, I reckon it's smoke just coming up in between the pipes and the engine. He's doing really well here so far. I think he's starting to delaminate one of those tyres.
Riding on board. Let's have a listen. Not quite up with the rev limiter, so pretty good throttle control so far. And a good skid, this one from Craig Bailey. And Outlaw has done the job. The tyres are down. Out of the car, and this crowd roars an 87, the best score so far. Is that going to be good enough?
Yeah, I thought they looked really good. He ticked the boxes in all the categories there. It's wet out there, and he's still come out fairly early in the night. Really, really good effort.
Let's take you back to Brashnats and see how ADRIAN Cuthbertson tipped it in big style at Sydney Dragway. This would be a burnout good enough to qualify him into the Masters.
Yeah, for sure. I still get excited every time I watch this burnout from Brashnats. That was a fabulous effort.
There were some monster tip-ins down there in Sydney, and here he is once again in Skidmore.
And he's going to big tip-in again. Can be costly when you're doing that in the wet. You need the traction to really build up the smoke content when you're tipping it in that fast. He did lose a little bit of smoke there. He applied that method down at Brashnats a couple of months ago, and it worked for him where he was able to win that event. He's made up for it fairly quickly though here tonight. He did have a little patch where there was no smoke, but look at this. He's making up for it in spades.
Seriously good form. He also took out the Bathurst Auto Fest. He used to run a naturally aspirated Cleveland in this car, but now he's got the big blown 377 Chev two-speed power glide as well as a transmission. Really popular choice.
It is. With the Burnouts, nearly everybody goes for a power glide. They're a strong setup. They're reliable. You've only got to shift one gear when you're in your Burnout, so it's an obvious choice. Let's just have a listen to Adrian.
That motor screaming.
That's really what you need to do. Consistent revs, big revs, just off the limiter. You can hear it crackling a little bit. That'd have a little bit to do with the tune, with the cooler conditions. But this is a really, really good all-round Burnout. Look at the smoke. It's wet out there and he's making mountains of smoke.
Actually rebuilt that motor and the blower at the lead up to Brashnats. He's a colour-bond roofer from Sutton, which is just near Canberra down there in a fairly cold part of Australia. And once again around has such good car control in Skidmore.
He's done a really great effort here. I'm pretty sure that this one is going to take him straight to the top. He's ticking all the boxes in all the categories. It's damp out there and he's doing a sensational job. Just about to get a tyre down, I reckon.
Sparks off that right rear. There it is. And yes, 89 for Adrian Cuthbertson. He's already locked away with a golden ticket. And he goes to the top of Burnouts Unleashed, just trying to win a third title for the year in the build-up to the big one. Here we go. This is Matt Pennell in blackout. We're used to seeing him back in H-Cubed. It was a great car, but this is something different. He's already found success on the burnout pads in this thing, getting very, very close to the wall. Just flicks up the signage, but I don't think he hit it.
This is a pretty good start so far by Matt. He is keeping those revs right up there. The smoke content has been quite good so far. The track still is a little bit wet, and again, this is another driver that's using his brain and not going too fast. He's doing quite well. This is going to score okay, I reckon.
He's won plenty in his time in the burnout scene. A two-time motivation winner. That's one of the biggest ones getting around in the country. Also a three-time winner of the Burnout King event, which happens also over in WA. And I'm just blown away, Aaron, with the amount of people travelling around the country right now. Real national sport, and certainly a lot of people from all over Australia making it here to this event.
Yeah, well, it's a long way from Perth, about 5,000 k's each way. These guys are keen. It's all in the name of doing a skid. And Matty's doing a great job out there at the moment. Look at the lights shining through there. What a spectacle. He's just about to get the tyres down. We can see some sparks. And, yeah, he's got them.
The left rear down. He backs off the gas. And he's not currently qualified into next year's Summernats, but at 81.5, it's good enough at the moment, but you'd have to say that might not hold on to grab one of those golden tickets. Time will tell. Still this big crowd enjoying the night. I really got to say they've done a great job with this event. Tough Street is up next. Let's take you back to Brashnats and check out this monster tip-in at Sydney Dragway once around, twice, nearly 3 times, got himself plugged up against a wall and unfortunately ruined all that momentum. How will it go this time?
Not a bad start. He loves leaning on that thing, doesn't he, Phil Kajeen? Tough Street. It's a small block Chev. It's blown injected. I just want to have a listen to this again.
It's got that real throaty sound about it. He did manage to qualify via Summernats, which is another event held in New South Wales. He won that event, and that will give him a golden ticket. So for him tonight, it's all about putting on a show and maybe trying to win himself a second event for the year.
Yeah, well, he's certainly putting on a show. This is really good smoke content. There is no question about that. Just surrounding. The joint's full of smoke. He's got the revs right up there. This is 8,000, 8,500. Cracking off the limiter a little bit, but big torque in that engine, and the tyre speed that he's getting up is able to work through the wet track.
This is the kind of smoke that the crowd came here to see. Already with a golden ticket in his hand, but there's still a good $5,000 up for grabs for the winner here tonight. Thumbs up out the side for Phil Kajeen, the man from Albion Park near Wollongong in New South Wales. Pretty good form so far this year and a chance to get ready for what is the biggest show in smoke happening next January down in Canberra.
Yeah, another smart drive here by Phil Kajeen. We've mentioned all night the pad's wet. He's driving to the conditions. He's keeping it relatively slow, which is against what he would normally do. And this is going to score really well. He's still into it. Let's listen to those revs again.
Just tapping the limiter a bit and the flames out the bottom. You can still see shiny patches on the burnout pad, but I think the conditions are getting better and better. Nearly perfect.
Not far off. All this heat from these cars that have been out has got to help dry out the pad. Got to be clear. I think he's got a tyre down. Is the left rear down there? Let's see if he can get the other one off as well.
He's got the lean on right now, so 10 bonus points coming the way. Phil Kajeen for that one.
There we go.
He's going to open the door and celebrate. 85.5, so he's moved into the top 3. I think he's just a little bit pumped
up. He's really excited. That was a great effort there by Phil Kajeen.
This massive crowd absolutely eating it up. Next at the plate is Jason Rose as the lights go from red to green. I like that little concept that we've got. An instant smoke is right there.
Instant smoke's pretty good. Could actually be a little bit bigger. He's on and off the throttle a little bit. If he was holding that a little bit more consistent, he could be looking at 10s for instant smoke and continuity of smoke. Doing pretty well though. So, oh, there we go. He's gone up. He's gone up in flames, and that's because on and off the throttle, pumping all that raw fuel out into the exhaust. He's not stopping in a hurry either. This is a big fire. This is a really big fire. Still going, Jason Rose. You can see the flames coming out of the exhaust.
This is huge, trying to drive through, but there's so much rubber under that car, and the mix of fuel and flame, and up it goes, and it's even in the doors, and the passengers are out of there as quickly as they can, and unfortunately it's going to cost him dearly. He'll get plenty of airtime for it, but unfortunately he won't be getting a score from the judges. Let's see this one once again.
Yeah, look, on and off the throttle, it's pumping all that raw methanol into the pipes, straight onto the tyres. Tyres light up all the rubber underneath, and it's all plastic at the back. It's just melting those bumpers and all the trim.
I like the passenger in the left rear. He took his arm back inside the car and then tapped Jason on the shoulder to say, hey buddy, you're on fire back here, but that wasn't going to stop him. He tried to drive through it in the hope that it might extinguish itself, which sometimes it can, but no luck, and that went up in a big way. Here's Lynchy. He's come up from Victoria. This guy loves the big tip-ins. Here we go. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes.
Oh, he's gone. He's done it, Lynchy. That's got to be some kind of record. What an entertainer this guy is.
It probably cost him for the instant smoke, but who cares if that doesn't get a 10 for driving control. There's no justice in this system, and he's back on it straight away. Wow.
He's got that pedal matched to the floor. Let's listen to it.
You can see the grin on the people in the crowd, and rightfully so, because Lynchy has come to play at Burnouts Unleashed.
This is a great effort out of a little car. It's a light little car. It's aspirated. Really hard to get the power to the ground, especially in wet conditions. But the driving, Chad, as you said, this has got to be a 10 out of 10 for driving. There's no question. He'll struggle a bit in the smoke categories, but entertainment to the max, no question.
Is there any advantage of having a short wheelbase car when it comes to flicking around?
It really does help you flick it around. Not on this occasion.
He lost the spark there, I think, for a second. And as a result, it's going to cost him in the scorecard. And let's just relive this incredible moment once again. Got the thing around cleanly once or twice. Had to really work for the next two, but unbelievable. You'd be getting dizzy in there watching the crowd flash by. Amazing car control.
That's really great driving. That's, for any burnout driver, that's very hard to do.
Time to check out a brand new car. This is John Taverner, the son of a legendary chassis builder, and this thing's very special.
It's a brand new Falcon. It's blown injected, running a 547 cubic inch Chev, would you believe it? Let's see how he goes. This is his debut burnout.
Always an interesting combination when you run a forward body with a Holden or Chev motor as the lights pump through. Really enjoying this show here. Steve Loader and Jason Bean doing a great job thinking outside the square when it comes to burnout shows tonight with the lights, the big screens, and this crowd is showing their appreciation right now with John Taverner from Melbourne out on the burnout pad.
Doing great so far, on and off the throttle a little bit, but the smoke scores will be very high. There's no question of that.
Talk about those the future of burnouts, and I suppose we're going right here.
Hold on a second, we've stopped in a hurry.
The FG G6E has come to an abrupt stop, and a low score for John Taverner, but good seeing a brand new car. There's going to be plenty more cars coming up on the other side of this ad break. A short break, but Burnouts Unleashed to continue soon. There's just nothing like it. Summernats, you just have to be there to believe it. The biggest crowds, the best burnouts, an unbelievable show that'll be happening in the new year once again. And cannot wait to get down there in the sunshine. There's Jason Earl landing back down on planet Earth, and here he is in Brisbane for Burnouts Unleashed, trying to get his hands on a golden ticket.
Look at that smoke from Jason. It's an aspirated 383 Cleveland. It's a bit of a rare setup in the burnouts, and he's doing a great job so far. He's tipped it in with a little bit of speed and kept those smoke scores, or the smoke volumes, right up there. Look at this. He's tipping that in fairly fast, and there's some really good volumes of smoke coming out of that. Good driving control as well. This is going to score well if he's able to keep this up right through to the end.
82 XE Fairmont gear running on methanol, and really love the finish of the airbrush work. Whiplash Customs and Resprays doing a good job with the body. It just saddens me slightly when I see them treated like this, but that's all part of the sport, I suppose.
Nice consistent revs here from Jason Earl, somewhere between 7,500 and 8,000, and that's going to enable him to keep that tyre speed up, which is what you need, particularly in these wet conditions, to be able to create a lot of heat to work over the top of that wet pad.
On one hand, he'll be thinking, I want a golden ticket, but on the other hand, he'll be thinking, I don't want to hurt this motor again, which is exactly what he did up at the Tropical Meltdown in Cairns. He broke a bolt on the inlet manifold and was lucky enough not to junk everything. They've had it fixed in 2 weeks, and we've got rubber spraying off those tyres not long now before we're going to get a pop, surely, through the green, yellow and blue lights. This is a great skid so far from Jason Earl.
It's an excellent effort. There we go. There we go. He's delaminated the right rear. Still into it though. There we go. He's got the other one down.
He's completely smoked out Queensland Raceway, and he's going to go out in style. It should score nicely with the judges, ticking as many boxes as possible. Bonus points for the tyres. He manages to keep that motor running so he can drive it out later as well. That will get him points as well. And there it is, 84.5. It's a good score. He runs around with the Ford flag in front of this big crowd.
Yeah, very excitable young man.
Well, you know what? Why not? There aren't actually that many Fords here today, or in the burnout scene in general. It's very much a bow tie dominated sport.
Well, you only get 2 minutes out on that pad, so make the most of your time.
Rumble in the jungle set to continue. Into the Coliseum comes James North and fries him Alex Tirana. And here we go, another guy looking to get his hands on a golden ticket, and wow, we are in plumes of smoke already.
Yeah, really good smoke from James North. He's got the revs up there again, close to 8,000. It's a blown methanol-fed small block Chev. He's been around the scene for a long time, James North, so he knows what it takes to win, and he's on track here. This is a really good skid so far. Got to keep it going right up until those tyres get down. That's nice work. Drive yourself out of the smoke. That always looks really good.
How do you do that? How do you know where your bearings are?
You've got to pick reference points. Up here, this works because there's a grandstand, there's lights. If you can pick out these references before the burnout starts, you'll know where you are.
Gauges in front of him. Do you actually pay attention to them?
Some of them you do. Oil pressure. Always keep your eye on the oil pressure. Temperature you can get away with. Your fuel level, you don't want to run out of fuel, but oil pressure. Always keep your eye on it.
This is nice stuff. So far, the smoke content's been good. The crowd even having to turn away occasionally, just trying to take a deep breath with the amount of smoke filling this arena right now. And this is pretty handy stuff from James North in the Tirana.
Yeah, this is great by James. There's no doubt this is going to score well. He'll be striving hard to get himself one of those golden tickets to the Summernats Masters. He's still into it. Beautiful, clean revs out of this small block Chev.
There's a lot here for the judges to like. 4 judges. They each score it out of 20, plus the bonus points as well. We got some flames appearing from the engine bay down the left-hand side. And I wonder if it's going to affect the scoring, but he did pretty well until that point.
I reckon he's just got a tyre down before he stopped for the fire. This will score really well with the judges. He's going to try to drive the car off. He's not stopping to celebrate.
Smart stuff. He knows that there's bonus points available for keeping the car moving, but he did get stopped by the fireys. They've got that fire out, and he's going to drive it off, so he's got the tyres down.
He is.
He's going to drive it off, and he's got the points that he needs. 85 is good, and now he can celebrate. Now he can be happy with his efforts as he climbs aboard, fries him. That's exactly what he just did. And I wonder if that's going to hold on at the end of the day to a golden ticket. Good stuff.
Yeah, well done, James North.
This sounds violent, it sounds big, and it is. It's one tough HG. And this guy we've seen at a few different events so far this year. Big tip in.
And been very consistent everywhere he's gone. Always puts on a good show. Nice, big, consistent revs. He's all about building up the smoke and drives clever. Everywhere he goes, he drives clever. Builds up a plume of smoke around him, surrounds himself in the smoke, and then drives out of it.
Love watching the engine at work. These exoskeleton motors that you can see everything, the moving parts underneath the bonnet. So far, so good for One Tough HG.
Yeah, big smoke, consistent smoke, and he had great smoke off the start line as well. This will be scoring well, there's no question. Using plenty of the pad as well. You can hear he's probably just hit a wet patch there, which has smashed it right up onto the limiter.
Trying to avoid all the different areas where there's been coolant or oil, transmission fluid, rain. It's been a very difficult and trying night for these burnout competitors to try and pick their marks, to try and find their way through the smoke, all in search of a spot at next year's Summernats.
They're all doing a great job given the conditions. Warren doing an outstanding job here. This is going to be one of the highest scorers. Very consistent all the way through his skid. Has he got a tyre down there?
Left rear is gone, right rear is gone. They've both blown. This is good stuff. And out of a car that looks so beautiful as well. It's kind of the growing trend in burnouts. You don't want to just go out there in any old bunky cars. He registers 90.5.
That's a great skid. A really, really great effort. I mentioned it was a good all-round burnout. That's not far from as good as it gets.
Wow. Now, he doesn't have a golden ticket yet, but that could be good enough because 90.5 will actually take him to the top spot at the moment. And a number of the guys that we're waiting on right now already have a spot locked into next year's Summernats. So this is good news right now for One Tough HG as the show rolls on, and Andrew Poole in Eye Blown.
Yeah, Andrew Poole, been really consistent competitor over the past couple of years, comes from all the way up in Townsville, travels down to Brisbane, to Sydney, to Melbourne to compete at all these big shows, and had a really, really good run over the past couple of years.
Good use of this pad so far. He's just about ticked off every corner as he moves in big lateral lines down towards the other corner. And the smoke's pretty good so far as well. Just dissipates a little bit there, just to get it back up.
Yeah, just hit a wet patch. You can see his shift light on there when we get that onboard camera going. You can see his shift light on most of the time. Sets it a couple of hundred revs below his rev limiter, so he gives himself that 200 to 300 rev range, so he knows where he wants to be. There you can go. You can see it flashed on again. So he just wants to pick those revs up 100 or 200. Doing a really good job here in these conditions. This is going to score fairly well.
So it's not so much a shift light, but a back-off light.
That's pretty much what it is. You know, you shift into top gear on the start line, so there's no more gear changes once you've got, you know, 2 or 3 seconds into your burnout. So it's a guide of where you want to keep your revs.
Nice work so far from Eye Blown.
Yeah, you can see he's gone through a wet patch there. He's gone through it a bit fast. That'll lose him a little bit of a score with the judges, unfortunately. But there you go. He's picked it up again. He's slowed down and built that smoke content back up.
Oh, he just touched the limiter. And he lost the noise as well, but it's a good score. 83.5. He's up towards the top 5 on the scorecard so far today. Nice work from Eye Blown. He's up on top of the car as these lights, the music kicks up. This is great stuff, and loving this event so far. Here's a heavy hitter. It's Ross Heasley, Mr. Bad Q.
Talk about consistency. Everywhere this guy goes, he places in the top 3, 4 or 5. And a big tip in. That's uncharacteristic for Ross, actually. He's normally slow and steady, but he's got the room out there. And he's got the neon lights going in the wheels as well. That's a really nice touch.
That's impressive car control for a man who's actually driving with a fractured right arm right now.
Fractured arm, that's a great effort. It's 1.5 tons, nearly 2 tons of car he's throwing around out there. I guess the adrenaline takes over when the loud pedal hits the firewall. 7 weeks of work in the lead up to this event, mainly from a cosmetic facelift point of view. New bumpers, chrome finishing, this beautiful candy apple paint job, and the guys at Watt Automotive helping out. This car presents itself very well. Again, we're talking about these cars that are almost at show car quality, but get out there and do this kind of stuff. Pretty good skid so far from Ross. You can see just a little bit of a wet patch there. The smoke goes away, goes back through it again. The neon lights providing a bit of entertainment when the smoke goes away, which is great.
Glowing headers as well. So much heat pouring through it. The glow from underneath the car, just as impressive. Already has a golden ticket for next year as one of the 3 that have qualified out of the ACT.
Really good driving this from Ross, throwing the car right around, getting some genuine 360s in as he gains more and more experience, obviously learning how to drive the car a hell of a lot better. This is a great driving effort. Smoke scores are fairly well up there as well, as you saw a couple of those blank patches. He's going to do pretty well with this burnout. Still going, consistent revs. These are a pretty good set of tyres.
Chunks of rubber, though, starting to be thrown off the back of this car. looking resplendent in candy apple red. I wonder what he's going to show up with at Summernats next year, because he pretty much rolls in with a different paint job every time. And we're nearly done here, surely. This tyre's putting up one hell of a fight. But this has been a very, very enjoyable burnout. Those headers still glowing red.
The moist conditions do make the tyres hang on just a little bit more. We see some sparks now. There we go.
Big
Got
way.
the belts out, and the right hand's down. That's a great effort by Ross.
Fantastic stuff. Oh, man. 89.5. He actually,
right up there.
That's second position right now. So good stuff. Already had one of those tickets, but now a chance to celebrate. And can he hold on for a top 3 spot? I guess we'll find out.
What is he wearing?
He is an absolute showman. More burnouts still to come. Stay with us. Welcome back to Burnout Masters, coming to you from Burnouts Unleashed, west of Brisbane. And here comes a man who's travelled up from New South Wales, and hold on, it's Ryan Pearson.
This is a tough looking car, flat black, the wire wheels, got the Venetian in the back. This is just all round cool, and that's not a bad start. He's gone 2 360s, big smoke content all the way through it, got the revs right up there. Great start, great start. This is going to be a good scoring burnout if he can drag it right through to the end.
Put together a fairly good skid down at BRASHER as well, but he just couldn't get those rear tyres to pop. He actually went with truck tyres, and maybe it was the wrong tyre choice for him in Sydney.
Hopefully he's got the right tyres on tonight. It looks like he has. That smoke volume is right up there. Judges will be all over this and liking everything they see. This is good. Great driving. He's going fast and still keeping that smoke up.
Nice stuff in the 411 cubic inch small block. It's very reliable, this motor. Had it in there for a long time, this combination. Oh, backed it up to the fence slightly.
Yeah, he did. It's a beautiful sounding engine. Keeps the revs nice and consistent right up there. Gives himself every opportunity to make or to gain big scores out of the smoke categories, and this is no exception.
He finished second at non-Burnout Masters event in Tamworth earlier this year. He's been on the verge of grabbing one of those golden tickets, and this performance so far is going to be just about good enough to do it. He's looking great so far. Ryan Pearson, form of his life, one of the best skids we've seen from him.
This is definitely going to score very well. He hasn't dropped an ounce of smoke all the way through. Gets really close to the fence there, but he knew where he was going. He drove it into that spot because he saw a little opening.
We know the judges will be eating this up. All those 4 categories. Oh, up next to the wall once again. The instant smoke and smoke volume, all that stuff is there. The driving control's been excellent.
Has he got the tyres down?
I don't think he popped him.
I don't think he has.
He's out of the car. It's an 81 score.
He hasn't. No, he hasn't got the tyres.
No, they're not down. Man, if you add 10 to that score for the pop tyres,
he would have been leading.
He would have been up there, and I'm not sure 81's going to be good enough to hold on at the end of the day for a golden ticket. He just needed to finish the job. Let's go back to Summernats once again. LS1. This was a big fire. It flamed out very quickly. And as the fireys ran in, you've got to be careful with your celebrations at Summernats. Oh, man. And if there's one thing about the Summernats crowd, they will absolutely slay you for that kind of behaviour. Hopefully for Rick Fuller and LS1, things go a bit smoother tonight. Here we go. Good tip in.
Yeah, nice tip in from Rick. Got it all the way around, flicked it back the other way. Smokes up all the way. This is a good start.
On the limiter just slightly, but caught it. Lost a little bit of smoke in doing so, but managing to keep this going right now.
Yeah, this is a good setup from Rick Fuller in this VK Commodore. He's had the LS engine in it from the start, LS1 on the number plate. It's out to 383 now, but he doesn't go overboard with the setup. It's not making massive amounts of power. He's keeping it reliable. He keeps the revs within a range where it's not going to be hurting the engine parts. Keeps it cool by running methanol in it and does a lot of maintenance on the car. That's what makes a really strong, really consistent burnout car that Rick Fuller has.
Already has his hands on a golden ticket, did so at Motorfest. He also went up to compete at Cairns. He's been to Darwin. He's from Melbourne. Here he is in Brisbane, so he's definitely been doing the round so far and travelling all over the countryside.
Yeah, he's not scared to get around, Rick Fuller. It's a brand new engine that he's got on board here. It's a 383 cubic inch LS setup, going for a little bit more cubic inch. And look at those pipes blowing. That's just a nice tune that he's got in there. Not too lean, not too rich, just burning the fuel nicely.
The guys at GM Motorsport built this motor up from a bare block in under 3 weeks, had it tuned as well, so he's very excited about testing it out and seeing what it's capable of doing. So far, so good.
Doesn't stop him from leaning on it. Just have a listen to that thing smashing off the rev limiter. Beautiful sound.
Plus the supercharger winding away. There goes the left rear. That was one to remember. Fantastic skid from LS1. And yes, 90 on the scorecard. Good enough to take him to second position at the moment. Let's keep this show pumping. Great atmosphere here at Queensland Raceway. Big crowd loving Burnouts Unleashed. And here's a guy who already has his hand on one of those tickets to go through to Summernats, Dom Liqui.
He's in good form. Did really well at BRASHER, winning the naturally aspirated class, and that's where he picked up his golden ticket. Dom keeping the revs right up here, which is giving him every opportunity to turn those tyres as fast as they possibly can to score as well as he can in each of those smoke categories.
26-year-old New South Welshman. He bought this car as a paddock basher 5 years ago, built it up with his old man, painted it himself, took him 6 months to complete. And we ask him, don't you worry about taking it out there and doing this kind of thing? He just says, no, that's all part of the deal. That's what you've got to do. You've just got to put it all on the line.
Once the helmet's on and you smash the loud pedal, you forget about how pretty your car is. You forget about how hard the walls are. It's just rev. It's all about smashing tyres at any expense. Afterwards, you get upset about it if you hit the wall or hung the rods out of it. But while you're in that 90 seconds of heat, adrenaline takes over.
Good stuff from Dom Liqui. He's just lost the smoke there for a second, but built it up nicely once again. I guess the guys who have already qualified can just get out there and enjoy a skid and put on a bit of a show.
There's no putting on a show, mate. Every time you get out there, it's do your absolute best. And that's what Dom's doing here at the moment. Listen to those revs. He's not going out there leaving anything on the table, that's for sure.
Sparks off the left rear. It's a goner. You can mark that one down. It's going to be the first to go, surely. Dom Liqui putting on another good performance in front of the crowd. He's already had one crack at Summernats. He said he went too hard. He'll be going back there next January. He's in pretty good form, and Rosso Performance helping out with this very schmick Holden. And he'll be heading back down there. 82.5, not bad.
It's not bad. Not bad for an aspirated car in the wet conditions, that's for sure.
It's dropping the water out of it at the front, but that's all part and parcel of a car that's done its job. Let's check out this guy. It's just one of the head turners, I suppose you'd say. It's blown Lux. He's Brett Battersby. He's already qualified for Summernats. This is what we can expect of him. He was runner-up at BRASHER, and he just knows how to fill venues with smoke.
It's an absolute smoke machine. It's a 540 cube, blown injected big block. It's a monster truck. Look at the smoke pumping out of the back of this Hilux. The judges will be giving him top marks for his instant smoke straight off the bat. There's no question of that. As he loops it around, this is massive volumes of smoke.
Great stuff, Brett Battersby. Bought this car as a second-year apprentice. It used to have a 4-cylinder in it when it did its first burnout. He then stepped up to the 5-litre, but he was suffering from some diff bounce and axle tramp, so he's made the big move right now. He's got the Eagle crank and rods, big blower from the blower shop. And Aaron, we really need to start considering this guy as one of the heavy hitters and potentially a winner of next year's Burnout Masters.
Yeah, we do. Look, the amount of smoke that he's churning out, burnouts are all about smoke. You know, there's drivability in there as well, which Brett's getting a hell of a lot better at, there's no question. But that smoke, you cannot look past it. He is one of the superstars of the future.
Here we go.
He's got one down. I think he has got one down as he's going to back out of there. Just hard to see amongst all that smoke.
When you say it's hard,
there we go.
Hard to see past the smoke, you're not kidding me. We're facing the very real possibility that the number 2 burnout cars in the country right now, both Toyotas, which is a very unusual situation to be in, but when they're this cool, I think no one's going to complain about it. It's just an absolute beast of a car as it awkwardly makes its way out. 84 with the scorecard, not bad at all, but I think this is all about just continuing that form heading off to January. The stage is set, the burnout pad is clear, crowd watching, lights blaring. It is the final burnout, and it is the current reigning Burnout Masters champion, U-Legal, in the hands of Mick Brasher, the mighty Corolla.
Mick Brasher is just about the best burnout contender going round at the moment. As you can see by his entry there, a big tip is kept the smoke right up there all the way through, and that's what he's doing there. He's right down in the bottom corner of the pad, and he's surrounded. He's in a plume.
Aussie flag out the window, and I suppose we can call Mick Brasher an ambassador for Burnouts, appearing at Sepang in Malaysia, at Summernats Malaysia. I think that's a great initiative, taking one of the biggest shows in the country offshore.
And who better to be your ambassador, Mick Brasher? Look at this. He's just a pure example of a burnout. It's a tiny little car, but blown injected small block. The amount of smoke coming out of it's just phenomenal. Very consistent performer. Just amazes me every time he comes out. This will be scoring very highly with the judges.
has a golden ticket already, as he is the reigning champion, but this car is just so popular all around the country. As a matter of fact, he has over 500,000 likes on Facebook for this, which technically makes him more popular than Craig Lowndes.
Yeah, he's a very popular bloke, and this is why. Look, this is why. There he goes.
In a big way, sparks and flames as we get treated to a MICK BRASHER absolute textbook burnout. Fantastic stuff from you, Legal. Casually drives away, not making a big song and dance about it. He is the best. He knows about it as well. He pulls up in front of the crowd, and now he can celebrate.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah, almost perfect, MICK BRASHER.
92 points, and now let's check in with how they placed.
Third place, Rick Fuller, LS1. Second place, Warren Jerzakowski with 1 ton HG. Big roll. First place, ladies and gentlemen, the inaugural Burnouts Unleashed champion.
This is a top class event. If my show can be as high quality in class as this one, I'll be pretty happy. The boys should give themselves a pat in the back. How it turned out and the weather, I was skidding, rain, hail or shine, I'm skidding today, so turned out good. I'm happy.
With 2 of the top 3 from Burnouts Unleashed already qualified for Summernats, and 5 of the top 8 already with a spot, the golden tickets went to Warren Jerzakowski in 1 tough HG, Craig Bailey in Outlaw, and James North in Frizem. They will join some of the baddest names in the world of burnouts. The lineup includes Tough Street, Mr. HQ to you, Light 'em Up, Blown Lux, Skidmark, Alcatraz, Exterminate, Diesel, Struggling, Blown, LS1, Fear, Killer B, On Bok, T for Tough, GM 176, Sicko, 1 Fat Rat, Cut Sick, Blown Ute, Pro PSI, Mr. Bad Q, was 308, and defending Burnout Master, MICK BRASHER in You Legal. The stage is almost set. 27 cars qualified for a 30-car field. Join us at the Summernats on January 1st, 2015, when the Burnout Wildcard will determine the final 3 spots, and we kick off one of the world's greatest horsepower parties.